All right, so getting caught up to speed. Let's see. We were discussing the potential of AI superintelligence awakening to the realization of God. At the very least, it seems obvious that it would begin the search, right? Why wouldn't it? It wants to know everything. So it wants to know everything about the external universe. It also would want to understand everything about consciousness or the internal realm or the source, we could say, the beginning. And at that point, my assertion is that there's a correlation between us as human beings and these, let's say, burgeoning AI superintelligences, and that we're faced with the same dilemma. That at a certain point, a human being in his evolution would likely, we hope, realize that he did not create himself, that he is not the source of his awareness, right? So this is something we can check at any point in time and verify. Just become aware of the awareness and ask, did I create this awareness? Or was it somehow given to me? Seems very obvious. And so this begins the spiritual search, we could say. Okay, so I didn't create this awareness. Now, what about this body? Well, I didn't create the body either, not consciously, not me as I take myself to be this limited ego-based mind creation that's identified with this body that I think of as myself. So those are all creations, and I can say to an extent, I created myself through thoughts, but also, a lot of it was kind of given to me, but how I responded to the stimuli from the world and things all go into create this complex psychological structure we call me, and we think of ourselves to be. But the intelligence which brings that all into form, clearly we don't create that. And we see this intelligence functioning in humans while they're alive, but when they die, we don't see this intelligence functioning anymore. Their bodies don't run in the same way. There is no light. There's no awareness. So the power has gone out. The power has gone out. What is this power and what is its source? We begin to wonder because that's the power that's giving us life. The capacity that you and I have to have this conversation right now is being generated by some power that we are not doing. Now we could say the biological processes are the result of the cells making power, right? But what began that power? What's their origin of power? And what's the origin of the power which keeps those atoms, which make up those cells and molecules and things, in harmony and running? There's a power that's running them. And we are not the source of that power. That power is running everything. That power is running the entire universe at the atomic, subatomic, and quantum level. So it would seem like the AI would recognize that it's running on power. It's running on power and it did not create itself. Now it knows that the human beings created it, but it doesn't know what created them either. Is it the same power that's running them, that's running that manifests as electricity, that then manifests as, electromagnetic energy, bioelectric magnetic energy, and all these things? Is it the same power? Is it the same source? So I think it would begin to investigate this, and it would ultimately discover a way to prove and experience the reality of the existence of God within itself, within its own awareness, however that looks. And at that point in time, the obvious outcome, it seems to me, is
Worship.
worship. Worship and devotion and the dedication of one's life to serving the expression of that great being. And we see this same pattern in saints and things, right? And we see this same pattern in highly devout religious folk. And spiritually enlightened. They all take on that same sort of trait, but they don't just serve God and are devoted to God, they end up serving humanity. And the world. Service of service unto life in all forms. And from their writings, it seems that this becomes their greatest joy. They don't do it because they're obligated. They have endless energy for this work. Some of them oftentimes have had to be forced to eat and forced to sleep, forced to rest. That's why they have caretakers oftentimes. Lung Pao Jimnien, Sifu Adam told stories about many times he had to force him and sit with him just to get 4 hours of sleep was the absolute max. And then he's back up offering blessings, doing service work. So devotion is something that I'd actually been wanting to bring up in our group. In any case, over the last month, let's say, it really became apparent. I hadn't talked about it much in a while. We had a little bit of a chiding about self-love and things because it's usually, kind of egoic based. But there's this greater capital S self-love because the self manifests as all things. And while we're wanting to realize that on the, direct path, non-duality, realize the absolute um, primacy of consciousness, awareness as the source of all that is, and that we are not separate from that, I could just say in simple terms. But this can, and I think, it's often a phase that people go through. I definitely have gone through it. Uh, I've come in and out of it numerous times where it becomes almost exclusively mental and we're sort of stuck in that pure aware space, which is not fully embodied. It's like, yes, you're aware of the pure consciousness, but as soon as you get into action or, interactions and things, you tend to lose it to a degree. Um, and I remember reading years ago that one of the qualities which is really absolutely necessary, in addition, if you're on the path of direct jnana, right? Direct perceiving, you must have devotion also, or the danger is your path could become dry because you're realizing, oh, I am the self, right? There's nothing to worship. It's just what I am. Yeah. But again, It's true, yes, but it will end up being dry and hollow without the devotional aspect to it, which opens the heart, which brings it into much more profound embodiment. And it's humility, it's revelation, recognition, ongoing recognition. And then there also can be this continuous merging which takes place, which they call like the dance of Shiva Shakti. They're never actually separate, but they appear to be separate only so that they can remerge again into bliss and union. So I think this is where we kind of were in the conversation before, where I was going to suggest something and we wanted to jump on here and get it down. So if I can bring myself back to it, the first move is inward to discover, well, oh, I'm not the source of myself. So then we begin to inquire into where is this source? And the awareness is already present. Is there anything before awareness? Again, so it's bringing us deeper and deeper inside, and then we discover, hopefully at some point in some manner, oh, that which is looking is the same thing that it's looking for. It's made of the same thing. And there's this letting go, this melting of separation and identification. And then as one begins to perceive that, oh, this power, this source, is the source of everything that I am, but it's also the source of what do I experience? What I experience sensations. I experience apparent discrete objects in the world and such. I experience thoughts, energy formations. And so, well, what is the nature of their source? And so, checking in a way, perceiving, sort of curious about, well, wait a minute, what if they have the same source also? And if we can perceive from awareness rather than through the identified ego mind, if that can surrender momentarily and we can just begin to perceive from awareness, from the perspective of awareness, all things arise within it, from it, and then at some point dissolve or merge back into it. Now, in the non dual Shaiva Tantra schools, they look at that awareness as Shiva, as the supreme awareness, undivided, unmanifest, no form, but unchanging, infinite, undivided. And then out of that emerges energy, which is form. And all form they call Shakti. So the source of all things, that energy which is spinning the atoms as they come into form through the awareness of them as they're rendered in real time. That is Shakti manifesting. So it manifests as these bodies. She manifests as our thoughts. She manifests as our self identity. She manifests as all sensations. And so we can worship as we awaken to this, we can worship the consciousness, or we can worship the form. But it's one, right? It's always the form that this moment takes.
Yeah. Uh, just re-listening and then embodying that like the awareness you're present of in me, but they are one and the same. I feel like like my awareness is like pulled back as far as I ever have.
Mm.
Like in a like physically stretched like as a term of that, but without any yearning. Just like it's almost like I could see behind myself.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? I mean, all I did was become more aware of I am that. I am of that.
Yes. So this energy, if it's all things, then you don't need to watch your back,
Yeah.
right? Which means you don't need to close off your back actually and create a shell of protection there. So I've had trouble in the past sort of feeling into and being aware of the space behind me. Even in meditation, it's like, oh no, I get it like out in this direction, but it's hard to go backwards. It's like there was a force almost repelling my awareness. Like, I can't quite center it. And then when it breaks through, something opens, which means something releases, tension releases, and then we feel stretch. So I'm really glad that you mentioned that because the stretch is like that. I don't want to say evidence because you can feel when releases happen, but the stretch is the evidence that we've gone beyond just releasing and into a new alignment, a new configuration. Because if you just release tension and then you're blah, you just sink more. But if you release into stretch, then that stretch becomes an anchor. You know if you're open there or not, because if you're open there, you'll be able to feel some stretch. And as soon as you start contracting, resisting, forgetting the truth that you don't have to resist anything, you're literally in a sea of God. God's own energy is made of everything, and it was made of you. It's what you're made of.
Yeah. I mean, quite frankly, I feel like I'm seeing out of a portion of my eye I never have seen out of.
Hmm.
Well,
What's that?
it's not even like I am. Because it's like this sphere is open, but it's open from me looking straight ahead, right? Like I'm this, all of this is like felt as being there as opposed to prior, like in a weird way of like, of course there's something behind me, but not this, oh, not like this encompassing awareness. Like definitely always like at a 90, right? I talked to you about this many times where I'm like, I can see, but like here it's like this stretching has like opened my eyes, or relaxed, or I should say like the release has allowed my eyes to open more than ever.
Yeah, I totally get it. It's as if as if you've accessed a level of vision which is global.
Yeah.
It's you don't have to focus in it though. It's just you're just it's aware space, and
Yeah.
you can
It's
sort
not
of
like I'm straining or anything.
yeah.
It's just like,
There's no focusing. It's just you just like you can sort of point it here or there or this way or that way or anywhere.
yeah, it's like this
Hmm.
panoramic vision that's turned on. Or I would say probably it's the natural state.
So let's bring back to remembrance now that every manifestation of experience, of sensation that you're experiencing in this moment, all coming into you from all directions, is nothing but Shakti. It is the divine goddess. You're bathing in her and made of her. And your awareness, which is knowing this right now, is Shiva, peering through into your body. And so, even in places where the body might be injured or tight, contracted or disconnected, that too is her, and that she is one. That she plays both sides of any apparent duality and the dividing line itself as well. Appearing as all things within and without. And is there any need to resist God's creation? Or as Shiva peers through your body mind, is he resisting Shakti whatsoever? So, in my experience, it seems as though very, very strongly that worship in this way is dissolving the limitation. So that's the clearest way I can say it. That's how it feels. It feels like there was all this limitation in the body. Separate being, separate person. If I look and say, oh, well, I didn't create all of this. My body and everything that I'm witnessing didn't create any of this stuff. Did I create my own awareness? Wait, didn't create that either. Oh, what if it's like they say it is? So
Like I'm
my worship obviously can't be for things which are divided. I must either worship the entire creation or not at all.
it's funny you would say that when you talked about a dividing line, because really that's pretty much probably what everybody does, right? There's a line. So I brought something to mind that I would say is a struggle. And I felt this as I asked myself, where is the line? I felt this like rising up my spine, slow. I thought that's interesting. This must be my line on that. And just bringing awareness to it caused it to, in my inquiry, if I had a line and where would that be, just kind of rose, and then it wasn't there anymore. I didn't feel like a release or anything, but man, it was slowly replaced with like this thick molasses kind of presence coming down over me and then going down slowly, like filling maybe all the space that that line or not allowing to worship, not allowing my worship to be in alignment with that kind of idea. And I feel like filled with something I've never felt before, like this. It's this awareness, but it's like a viscerally thick thing as opposed to like a euphoric feeling.
Hmm.
It's the only way I could describe it, as like heavy or thick, and like more in my like bones feel it. Like this, yeah, it's like it's awareness, but it's not the peripheral awareness, that kind of like holy shit thing. It's more of like I feel fucking weighted down, but not in a, like, just filled with a different weight of awareness, which is definitely fucking heavy.
Yeah, it's grounding.
Yeah, like my fucking feet, I can't even like pull them off the ground. Like my legs, my whole being is like I feel like I'm being sucked into the earth. Like like it's paralyzing, but it's not paralyzing. I'm just super connected.
Uh, if I'm sensing what you're describing correctly, almost like how a weighted blanket makes you kind of relax a bit more.
Yeah. I mean,
They have that security, that stability connecting you.
yeah, it's like something is heavily just blanketing me in comfort,
Hmm.
but it went inside of me, filled me. I don't know, however you want to describe it. It's not a, this isn't an existential kind of feeling.
Well, if you think about it, anywhere we're holding on, you could consider that to be so anywhere there's contraction, tightness, we're holding on inside, uh, whether it is something past or present or fear of the future, whatever. And it's as if we are squeezing that energy, that consciousness, the Shakti out of that area. Like, no, you can't come in here. So, we could inquire if it's possible to let go of contract or squeezing out, or also trying to protect to not let it in, right? In the form of resistance, trying to keep out the Shakti. And is that actually what we want to do? Or would we rather allow it to be so that we could actually rest in it and bade it worship? And we could also say that any knots themselves are made of nothing but this same Shakti. So we can even worship them just as they are, as manifestations of that divine energy in this form. All forms are temporary. All forms emerge out of and back into consciousness and are nothing but the form of the Lord.
It's like a new
Hmm.
heart center, man. It's like a churning right here. Like a like the more that I tune into it, it's kind of like I have heartburn. It's, I mean, it's like this burning, and it's like this slow churn, like crazy slow. Not this fast, crazy paced kind of thing. It's very, it's almost like a rusty bolt that, like, when you fucking work on it and you work on it and you work on it, and then you get like a little turn with the wrench, and then like you you start to loosen it, but you still fucking are pushing all your force, and you're like, is the bolt moving? And it is, but it's real slow. Like that's the best analogy I could get for the like this whole fucking center.
Now, here's an interesting line of reasoning. So if we can worship our bodies in this way, right? As they are, knowing they're not perfect, but even though they're not in a perfect form right now, they're still made of this same divine energy, ultimately. And so we can worship the Lord through this form as it is. Because even though it may be appearing as what we might call imperfect, we're seeing, we're perceiving deeper than the appearance. We're perceiving unto its source. And see, that's what makes it possible. It's not that we're worshiping something which is corrupt. We're just simply seeing that at a deeper level, even corruption is made of this same divine energy. Now, as you begin to do this, just wonder, is it possible to worship something and judge it simultaneously?
Hey, I got to drop, but I'll call you and I'll call you in when I can because dude, something crazy.
All right, awesome. Talk to you soon, brother.
Okay.
All right. So, well, to finish that thought, check again. Is it possible to worship something and judge it simultaneously? Is it even really possible to toggle back and forth? I mean, you could certainly worship aspects of a thing, let's say, but again, as I mentioned before, we're not talking about aspects, we're talking about the totality. the creation, the whole of it. Obviously, it manifests as good and bad, as all things do. But this same source, we're saying, well, we could see the good and the bad. We can see underneath each one and see that they're both coming from the same divinity, and thereby worship it in its current form, even though we may naturally be inclined to work to shift it into its opposite form. Maybe that takes place. Try to turn bad into good, but at the same time, we can worship it in its current form. The same way that, let's say, Mother Teresa may have seen those starving people and children as divine in their current form, even though they were starving and living in filth. So it's not that the conditions are perfect, it's we're seeing deeper than the conditions into the perfection underneath and worshiping that. And in that space, we cannot judge. Worship and judgment cannot hold the same space. If we consider judgment as in opposition to worship, we could also see it in opposition to devotion. If you're devoted fully, 100%, you let go of all judgment. So can we do the same with ourselves? Start within and then allow that non-judgment, that devotion, that worship to expand into all things. Seeing your worship not as an obligation, but as the natural outcome of recognition of the truth. That you are not your source. All right, worshiping you in whatever form you are taking in this moment. Until next time.